We're going to have our first presenter, Gene, right? Gene from Baeblemusic is going to come up here and talk about their new plugin. All right, cool. Gene. Thank you.
All right. Hi, my name is Gene Ellis. I'm here with Baeblemusic. And Baeblemusic, we are a producer and creator of original video programming, mainly focused around the indie and alternative music. As you can see, we have our videos separated out into a few different sections: concerts, sessions, music videos, and interviews. Our entire video library, we have approximately about 4,000 videos. And the reason why we created a WordPress plugin is we wanted to look for a very easy way to syndicate our content across the WordPress platform, and then allow people with music blogs, music websites, an easy way to import our video library onto their website seamlessly. This is a sample page on our dev site. As you can see, our videos are also broken down to these 6 sections: trending, newest, concerts, sessions, interviews, and music videos. These are all coming into the site via WordPress plugin that we created in-house, and all the data is being fed in through a JSON feed in the background. That way we keep all of the processing off of this website to keep it very lightweight. We didn't want to have a very heavy plugin. We didn't want to be very big in terms of file size. And so basically, in terms of besides just the backend code, a person is just importing a JSON feed, which is pointing to the music content on our servers. And we also have the like button on here, the share button, the number of views of the video. And then we also have, once you click this, it launches a pop-up window, and then the video plays right into the screen. Go full screen from here. On the side here, we also have these arrows. So these videos are streaming in for the trending section, and as we hit these arrows, it just continually loads in additional content for this section. And the same goes for the other sections as well. Now, we create this so that when someone installs the plugin, it pops up as an additional tab up here. But we've also created so that it will also automatically append itself on the bottom of a posting, if that's what you desire. And on our next version of the plugin, we're actually going to be creating it into like a short code. So that way you can actually drop this content within a post, not just at the very end of one. And now I'll show you a bit of the back end. We decided to keep it very, very simple in terms of the back end. As I mentioned before, we have the ability to append to the end of a post. And then also we have the standalone page, which is what I just showed you. And here a person can deselect or enable the various sections that they may want to enable on their website. Here we have the number of thumbnails, meaning that a person, if the default is 3 across, but if they want to shrink that to 2 or increase it up to 5, they can do that as well, depending on the design of their page. And at the very bottom, we have the ability to just enable or disable the plugin. And that's about it. Any questions?
Yes. So we can only use the plugin to post the music you have in your library?
That's correct. It automatically feeds in from our library.
My own music or my own music video, can I do that?
Not with this plugin. The reason why this was created was to basically syndicate the content from our site onto other websites to allow them to access our library. So it's not really built for people to submit videos to our site. But if your video was on our Baeblemusic website, then it would automatically be fed out to not only our distribution network, but any other website that's enabled our plugin as well.
And how do you select who is or isn't in your library?
Well, that'd be a better question for...
I'm the chief executive. We look at sort of bands that we think are interesting and sort of companies. So, for example, Mumford & Son. We filmed Mumford & Son 3 years ago, certainly long before they were sort of reached popular culture and popular consciousness. And that's our job, is sort of we sit and sort of and identify who we think is going to have a big year, or big 18 months, and work with the labels and publicists and folks like that to get the rights to do that. And then that product ends up on our platform. So for example, we were just down in South by Southwest last week, and we filmed 64 shows as part of that sort of annual music gala, and that ranges from Jim James and his new album to Solange to the specials. So it's sort of an eclectic mix, but really focused on acts that we think are interesting and that our target demographic of sort of the 18 to 35-year-old crowd, of which I'm too old for, are going to be interested in and engage with.
So how does somebody who wants to have a blog if somebody likes what you have, they want to use yours, but how do they then mix up the use of finding stuff that's outside of your library?
Yeah, I mean, it's really a self-contained package at this point. If there's a demand for people to add in sort of other YouTube or YouTube-related videos into a stream, that's certainly something that we would think we would be able to add. I mean, right now, what we're doing is integrating the YouTube Chromeless API into the core site, and we track about 2,000 artists. As a business that we look at and think of, and so what we've done is we've built a profile in YouTube, and so now we're hitting the YouTube database a couple of times a day to see if any of those artists, if any activity on those artists, and what we'll do is then we'll start to import those over into our site, which will then also, with Gene's wizardry, appear into that WordPress. So really what we are is we're a curated look at the music space, based on certainly not my good taste, but some other folks' good taste, and their selection. So you'll find sort of what's happening and what's going to be hot this summer. So you're going to hear a lot about ZZ Ward this summer. You're going to hear a lot more about Solange. You're going to hear Paloma Faith is making a huge push into the U.S. who's a big star in the U.K. and Willie Moon. So those are the acts that we work with, and those are the acts that, if you're a music-focused blog, you should be thinking about and sharing that content. And for us, it's an easy way for us to then share that content out and syndicate it out among other like-minded sites.
Mm-hmm. There?
Is your website built in WordPress?
Let's see. Yes, this their main website? No, it's not, right?
No, our core site is built in .NET.
.NET, yeah. ASP and yep.
Repeat
Yep.
the questions.
How do you go about, if you're a publisher, how do you go about selecting the different categories? Or, like, say, for example, if I had a blog that's focused on music in the Northeast, how would I go about setting up the feed so it only pulls those kind of acts? Like, there's a disconnect. Not making.
Okay, the question is if you wanted to basically target out, I guess have a better granularity in terms of selecting the feed that comes through. But currently, the only selections that you have correspond to these various categories or sections. So that'd be the trending, newest concerts, sessions, interviews, and music videos. We don't necessarily have a localization type of functionality, but that's definitely something that could be considered for the future.
I mean, we generally don't get into that level of granularity. It's not, I mean, we're not filming acts of sort of, New York City acts. We're not, we're never going to get a return on our investment in terms of the creation of that content. If it's just sort of a Peoria act or a Boston act, these acts have to be, acts that are growing nationally or internationally for that matter. So.
Okay.
What if you have podcasts in your library? Would this plugin be able to import podcasts?
Okay, the question is if you have podcasts in your stream, would this plugin import that? Well, this stream is basically focused on a JSON file that's on our servers, and so we're basically, as David said, we're curating all the content. We're basically creating that JSON file. So we've basically created it so that the only thing that's coming into this video feed or into that feed is is video. Some of it's video that we're shooting and producing ourselves, and then as you mentioned, we're also starting to incorporate the YouTube Chromeless API, which basically means that you can take YouTube content and then drop it into your own custom player. And so we're starting to utilize YouTube content for that. But the way we have it set up, you wouldn't have a podcast come through, just video-based content.
Yeah, I noticed in the WordPress plugin you have FancyBox 2, which is licensed under a Creative Commons non-commercial attribution. How does that work in the repository as far as GPL license?
Right. Yeah. No, you're right. We're definitely using a FancyBox too, and that's definitely something that I'd considered when we were looking at different ways of incorporating our pop-up box. From basically my research, it doesn't seem to be any conflict in terms of the way that we're using it, but that's something that we're always continuing to monitor, because the last thing we want to do is utilize something that we're not really supposed to. But also what was really important to us was just maintaining compatibility, and with anything we put out, especially our plugins, we've basically tested it on, we have a minimum level of compatibility, and we've tested from that point on, and every time a new version of WordPress comes out, we continue to test it, and FancyBox 2 seems to work the best. But no, it's a great question, but like I said, so far I haven't seen any conflicts under that, but something that I'll definitely keep an eye on.
Given the topic of the first talk, do you do anything towards accessibility? Are the interviews closed captioned?
The interviews are not currently closed captioned, I believe.
No, we just haven't gotten there yet. I mean, it's a long, as you pointed out, it's a long, slow, hard process, and our focus has been on distribution and building. Building overall distribution, not sort of the finer points of accessibility, which are important, but sort of unfortunately a little lower on the totem pole.
All right, and to date we've had about a few hundred downloads in a very short amount of time, so we've definitely encouraged by that, and we definitely are looking forward to seeing where it goes from here on. Good question?
How do you guys make money off of this?
That's a good question. This itself is not really set up to be monetized as it is currently.
The players are monetized players.
Service, obviously.
The players are set up to run pre-roll. We haven't activated the pre-roll on this yet. I mean, to be honest with you, we've over the last 5 years sort of gone and sort of fallen in love with HTML5, fallen out of love with HTML5, moved back to Flash. And now this version is now utilizing a Flash player, and it's set to go on monetization. We just haven't turned it on, and that's really platform wide, whether it's Google TV or Roku or on the web. It's there, it's ready. But generally what we do is we do a lot of sponsored production, and so it'll be Edward Sharp and the Edward Sharp talking about, who's a musician, talking about the meaning of life, sponsored by Virgin Mobile or Hyundai, wanting this or that type of thing. We're doing a series for a phone manufacturer next month that pays well, and goes a long way to paying the bills. And we also license a lot of the programming that we create to broadcasters around the world.
But you can't really protect the plugin code itself.
No.
Okay.
No, we have hosted. This plugin is hosted on the WordPress.org basically, and from my understanding, you're not allowed to fiscalate code that's up there. So it's basically once you put it up there, it's open. If someone wants to reverse engineer it, they can. So you're right, we can't necessarily protect the code base and actually have it officially hosted. All right. Any other questions?
So the code could be forked to do any selection of YouTube videos. Is that what you're saying?
It couldn't be selected to do any YouTube video. Well, the way it is now, when YouTube links do come through our JSON feed, it will know that, this is a YouTube link. I'm going to be utilizing the Chromeless API to do that. I think if someone wanted to reverse engineer this to just look at YouTube videos, I think there's probably easier solutions than reversing our code, but it's definitely possible.
Can you use the plugin for WordPress or .nuke?
WordPress or
Multi-site.
.new?
Multi-site.
Oh,
.net,
you know,
sorry.
currently it's only been utilized the way we're doing it right here. I'd have to look into that. Is that new? I think so, yeah. Okay.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.